polyamorous relationship, and they all parent Hazel and Sparrow.
Anti-gender baby and a 10-year-old who is non-binary.
Sometimes I wear like a girl shirt or boy pants.
Just constantly misgendered me.
Pronouns are they, them. I am a non-binary lesbian.
I've always had questions as a child. I always would put on my mother's makeup and her lipstick.
What makes a boy a boy? An X and a Y chromosome.
It's Misha and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the term non-binary and why it makes no sense and also why it enforces strict gender roles. And before we do get into this, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. So the obvious question, of course, is what even is non-binary? And the funny thing is that each non-binary person, when you ask them this question, has a slightly different definition. Sometimes they'll tell you they can't even define it and that it really just depends on the person, what that definition, what that really means to them, which is something we hear quite often. So since we can't rely on non-binary people to give us a good definition, on the internet it says non-binary or genderqueer is an umbrella term for gender identities that are not solely male or female, identities that are outside the gender binary. So this used to be androgynous, or if like a girl identified as like a tomboy or something like that, right? But back then, the girls still understood that they are still girls. Just because they don't like to wear dresses, or just because they like blue, or they like boys' toys, doesn't mean that they are they, them, right? That they are non-binary. They didn't need society to affirm their non-binary identity because once again, they understood, hey, I'm a girl, but I like more stereotypically masculine things, and that's okay. It doesn't make me a boy, and it doesn't make me non-binary. I'm still a woman. But now, of course, that's all changed because we have people in Gen Z who tend to be really narcissistic, and they love this term.
Maybe I don't actually fit into the definition of, man or woman, and that there's something else.
It's all about validating your feelings. I've always wondered this because non-binary people will say, I don't feel like a woman. I don't feel like a man. What do you mean by that? You don't feel like you have the body parts of a man, or you don't have the body parts of a woman? Maybe what you really mean is that you don't feel like you enjoy stereotypically feminine, activities or things, or stereotypically masculine activities, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean that you are non-binary, okay? And I could easily say, I don't feel like a human. I'm an alien. And what, then I can go around telling people that they must affirm my alien identity. Now I'm alien self. Does that make sense? Think about it. And then everyone, if you use that same logic that you have to be respectful, that I'm not hurting anyone by thinking that I'm an alien, you have to use my preferred pronouns. You have to affirm my alien identity. But if you really think about it, if you really cared about me, you would sit me down and say, I think you need to seek professional help because you're not an alien. You never will be an alien, and you never were an alien. And as happy as it may make you when we, affirm your alien identity, it is not based in reality. It is a fantasy, okay? And non-binary, it's not real. You are not both genders, and you are not neither gender. You have a gender. You may not like the stereotypes associated with your gender. That's understandable, but there's a much easier solution to that than to say, okay, I'm a genderless being. I'm floating around in space, so you have to play along with my delusion to make me feel good. The truth hurts, but it's the truth, okay? You're not non-binary. I'm sorry to break it to you. You are either a man or a woman. And I know that could be difficult to hear. I know that some people have gender dysphoria. Right now I'm talking about non-binary people who claim that because they don't like dolls, or because they don't like trucks, because they don't like the color pink or the color blue, that means they're not a man or a woman. Do you see how backwards this thinking is? Because they think they're so progressive, they think that they're, going against the gender norms and the stereotypes. Meanwhile, they're setting these expectations for themselves that no one was really even thinking about up until this point, because I thought that we kind of moved away from that. Now women can like all sorts of different things. Men can like things that are for women usually. It's okay. No one cares about your truth. My truth can easily be that I am not a human. That's not the truth. It doesn't matter what my truth is, because I'm delusional if I say that, right? There's the truth. There's no my truth, no my truth. What if my truth, by that logic, well, their truth is that they're non-binary. My truth is that that's not a thing. So why does their truth matter more than my truth? In fact, my truth is based in reality. If you listen to these people explain it, there is no clear definition. It's everything and nothing at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe you just aren't happy with the stereotypes associated with being a man when you're saying that you don't feel like a man. Maybe you're a more feminine man. That's okay. But to force me to ascribe to this gender ideology. Another argument I hear is, but Misha, they is a pronoun, so it doesn't make sense when you say, I can't use they, right? Yes, very good. They is a pronoun, and we use it, sometimes when we're referring to someone that we don't know the gender of, right? Now, hold on a second. Just like you, I used to use this as an argument for, validating non-binary identities. Because I thought, oh, well, these bigots, I'm going to show them. And then I brought up this example, okay? You have a new neighbor, and you don't know the gender of that neighbor, you haven't met them. You would refer to them as them, right? They are going to come over for dinner, okay? I can't wait to meet them, because you don't know their gender. But guess what? Once you see them, like 99% of the time, you will be able to identify that person's gender. I know that's a difficult truth for some of these people to hear. And then they get mad when people don't see them as non-binary. Well, that's because you are very clearly a man or a woman. It doesn't matter if you put on a suit if you're a woman or if you put on a dress if you're a man. Most people, most of the time, can tell your gender. Your facial hair, your height, okay? Your voice, how high or how low your voice is. It doesn't matter if you put on a tie or if you wear a dress. It doesn't make you non-binary if you do these things. So back to the example, or we use they when there are multiple people, right? They are coming over. Their friends are so nice, something like that. Yes, we use those pronouns. Very good. Congratulations. You were in grade school. But we don't use it when someone magically says that they are now neither a man or a woman or both. That is not an appropriate use of those pronouns. It doesn't make sense. You're not multiple people, and we do know your gender. You have a gender. So that's not an appropriate time to use they, them. Or I hear, oh, but what about intersex people? Intersex is a rare medical condition. A lot of the time, these people end up choosing a gender out of the two, right? That fits best with the body parts that they do have and how they feel inside, right? That's where we go into like gender dysphoria and all of this, these problems. But it's a rare medical condition. If there was a conjoined twin born, so should we change our, vocabulary? And in bio, we should start teaching kids, hey, there's a spectrum of how many legs you can have. Because, of course, there are some conjoined twins born sometimes with 3 legs. So humans in general, there's like a spectrum of how many legs humans have, instead of just saying, oh, humans have 2 legs, right? That's what that argument is like when you're saying that, oh, but what about intersex people, this rare medical condition that literally has nothing to do with being non-binary? Because non-binary people are saying, I don't feel like a man, I don't feel like a woman. It's because there's only a man and a woman that we're even having this discussion about intersex people. They're taking an abnormality and saying that now we should change all of the, vocabulary, and society has to now think about gender in a completely different way. That is not based in reality at all. I also think a lot of girls in particular fall for this because you see these really interesting videos on TikTok where they're saying, oh, my gender euphoria. I love it when, you guys affirm my they, them, pronoun, identity, whatever. And then these girls, they see that and they go, wow, I want to be a great ally to this non-binary individual. This makes them happy. Look, they're so happy. It's completely harmless. Oh, they're so sweet. I want to, respect them and blah, 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 blah. Respect, they're not hurting anyone. Listen, I understand where they're coming from, but the problem is this is hurting a lot of people, and those people are actually children. Because now children are being indoctrinated into thinking that they are neither gender or both or whatever, and then encouraged by parents, by schools, and by Big Pharma to medically transition, okay? And you're thinking, oh, but non-binary isn't trans. A lot of these non-binary people are saying that they are in fact trans, and that they don't, get this, they don't even need gender dysphoria to be non-binary or to be trans. If you don't believe me, go on TikTok, go on YouTube, look these things up, and you will hear very clearly non-binary people telling you you don't necessarily need gender dysphoria to be non-binary or to be trans. But you could be trans if you're non-binary, and then they're pushing these kids into believing this and getting hormones, getting surgeries. Of course, they cannot consent to this, and that these irreversible changes are occurring to their body.
Gwendolyn and Brinifer. They are in a polyamorous relationship, and they all parent Hazel and Sparrow.
We have a 2-year-old antigender baby and a 10-year-old who is non-binary.
Raising them using they, them, their gender-neutral pronouns.
You know, gender is something that's fluid, and you know, a lot of people have penises, identify as being boys, but that's not something that is necessary if you feel like you're a girl. And vice versa.
And these parents are also raising, gender neutral kids, right? Theybies, and they have no gender. And the funny thing is, you'll hear a lot of, oh, we hate stereotypes, we hate labels, and then they label everything. Oh, we knew that our child was non-binary because they didn't like to play with girls' toys. What do you mean by girls' toys? Explain it to me. What do you mean by boys' toys? What do you mean by boys' clothes? What do you mean by girls' clothes? If you hate labels so much, if you hate gender stereotypes so much, then why are you stereotyping everything? Why are you labeling everything as boy this, girl that? For someone that hates labels, that seems to be all you do is label everything. And then force kids to, oh, you like that toy truck? You're no longer a girl. Ridiculous. So you can't just be a boy that likes to play with dolls. That doesn't exist. You must be non-binary. It's all about stereotypes. That's the problem.
I feel masculine, I feel feminine. I like boy clothes, I like girl clothes. I'm not a boy or a girl.
I wear like boy clothes, or I wear girl clothes, or sometimes I wear like a girl shirt or boy pants.
Even with adults, there are now laws being proposed to legally force you to use the preferred pronouns. I truly don't care if you identify as a basketball, at home or with your friends, but when you are now requiring me to affirm your gender identity as a basketball and forcing me to use your made-up pronouns that change day to day and in the workplace, or else, I have a problem with that. That's no longer live and let live. They're not hurting anyone. Yes, they are. You are taking away people's freedom of speech. People say this all the time. I don't care. It's true. It is true. If you're telling someone, hey, if you don't use my preferred pronouns, that is a criminal offense, that is a problem. That's quite literally the opposite of live and let live. It's all about you, and everyone else, well, they can go to prison. They offended me? Send them to the slammer. If you guys remember, I don't know if you did this, but in high school and grade school even, we would go around the classroom, say each other's names, and then you would try to recall everyone's name before you. Now in the classroom, you know what you have to do? My pronouns are she, they, him, z's, or zems. And you have to go around the entire classroom. Can you imagine? First of all, that would take hours. I wouldn't remember any of that nonsense, not that I would care even. And why should I? I'm probably going to exchange 2 words with most of these people, but I have to memorize their preferred pronouns that they made up 2 seconds ago and that may change throughout the year. These people are having meltdowns over being misgendered. That is not my responsibility to make sure that you're in a stable mental condition. That's not my responsibility at all.
I really love my job. I love working with these kids. Tired of getting misgendered and
do better raising your kid. Maybe teach your kid that going up to some random adult and saying, you can go to the ladies' room, it's right over there, is not okay.
A 4-year-old in my class today was naming all the girls in class, and then she said my name. I just tell her, I'm not a girl, don't include me.
As evil cisgender people, right? Cisgender people, it's our responsibility to make sure that their mental health gets better. No, it is not. It is not my problem that you identify as Zer or non-binary. That is a you problem, especially if your identity makes 0 sense when you're being disrespectful about it. And I hate how they're saying that they're transgender as well, because actual transgender people with gender dysphoria, they go through a lot to alleviate their gender dysphoria through trying to present as a member of the opposite sex, something that non-binary people claim that they don't even need to do. You don't even need to have gender dysphoria to be trans and non-binary at the same time. You can just, say that you feel non-binary, and then that's pretty much it. So you get the oppression points without actually having to go through any sort of, discomfort with your body. And then after going through that work, they can, respectfully ask you, hey, could you use she, her? Not you will use they, them, because I am neither a man or a woman, even though I clearly am either a man or a woman, or else. I mean, it's ridiculous. Personally, I have never met a non-binary person who was right-leaning, but I have met plenty and talked to plenty of gay and transgender people who are right-leaning. And a lot of these transgender people are very much against this. I mean, there's literally non-binary lesbians. I don't know if you guys saw that video, but how? The actual definition of a lesbian, a woman who likes another woman.
I identify as non-binary and lesbian, and I prefer the pronouns they, them.
Because they want to keep the term non-binary to say, oh, I'm oppressed at being non-binary, and then also I'm oppressed being a lesbian. So there you go, you get the best of both worlds. And with the they, them pronouns, if you said, hey, I'm going through this, period of transition where I'm not sure if I'm, a man or a woman, but I'm transitioning, I have gender dysphoria, that's okay, that makes a little bit more sense, but they don't even have gender dysphoria. They say you don't even need that. I just don't like feminine things and I don't like masculine things. That doesn't mean you're not a man or a woman. Also, it's just being a human. We all have masculine and feminine qualities. There are very few people who are just strictly feminine qualities and strictly masculine qualities. It's very rare to see that. You're not special. The assumption that if you stray away from these strict gender norms, that automatically makes you non-binary. That is the most backwards thing I have ever heard.
Early humans, like the men, as far as I'm concerned, hunted.
Is there a reason why the men were the ones hunting?
Probably because they were stronger.
And I think that's where I kind of like, oh, really? Well, I'm strong. Why can't I be a hunter too?
Well, yeah, but like in terms of like muscle mass, men have and I mean, they probably weren't thinking about that.
It is not about respect, and you can see that this is mostly girls, which makes me think that this is a lot to do with internalized misogyny. The modern day feminist is, saying to all these girls, you are going to experience so much inequality and so much suffering because of all the sexism in today's society, so they want to escape that by becoming non-binary. I mean, if they're not indoctrinated to the point of just changing their gender to a man, well, at least then they can be non-binary, and the males that claim to be non-binary, they're a lot less likely to go through these, surgeries like top surgery and stuff like that the girls go through. They just put on some makeup, wear a skirt, all things you can reverse. And the girls are the ones who are being pushed into getting surgery and having to inject testosterone into their bodies every single day to escape this sexism. So that's what I think is going on here. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, so make sure you comment them below. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.